Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is up? It is Monday, which means it's time to recover from a hangover, but I know you're loving the fact that you're recovering from this hangover, a late nighter on a Sunday. No, we're not talking Friday night. We're not talking Saturday night where you let your hair down. We're talking about Sunday. And the Pittsburgh Steelers did it once again. I'm going to say that they beat the Seattle Seahawks, or I'm going to say that they escaped and survived the Seattle Seahawks. I can say anything you want, but all I know is I can say that it was a 23-20 overtime victory for the Men of Steel on Sunday Night Football. And don't look now, my friends. The Steelers are 3-3. Good evening. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. I am your podcast producer. Alongside of me is my longtime broadcast partner, Tony I almost pronounced your name wrong. Tony Defeo. And also alongside me is my more recent podcast partner, Shannon White. So it is great to see both of you. Gentlemen, I'll start up top with Tony. How are you, my friends?
I am fantastic, Bryan and Shannon. How are you guys tonight on this fine Monday evening?
I'm doing great.
Shannon, you can answer that.
Yeah, besides the fact that I've figured it out, the Steelers have a fiendish plan to try to kill me with these games. There's no such thing as a relaxing Steeler game for any of us.
Oh.
Now, normally I would say, oh, it's all about Shannon. It's all Shannon. They're trying to kill Shannon. But yeah, I think you're right, because I think they're trying to kill all of us. I'm wondering if this is just all a part of, save the drama for your mama, because there's so much drama in NFL football these days. When we were growing up watching football, if you had a lead with 7 minutes to go, it was pretty much over. Right. Most of the time in the fourth quarter. Wouldn't you guys agree? I mean, nothing is safe. Look at that game last week with Baltimore and Indy. I got off of this show and I was so excited to watch that game. And then I went to bed angry because of that game. So anything could happen.
Oh, it's
absolutely anything can happen. So, gentlemen, first, go ahead, Tony.
No, I mean, I'm just agreeing. Things have changed so much as far as having a 2 or 3 score lead. It's never safe, even with 10 minutes to go.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. So let's go ahead and let's welcome in our audience. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're here on the hangover, 1, you're happy. 2, you're a loyal black and gold bleeding fan. So we love you. We always say hello to our first few friends in. So let's go ahead and say hello to Steeler Chick 46. She wins as the first one in. Sean Mahoney's here, Brad Jewett, just me, Raheem, Bert Tavares, and Jared Devil are the ones I can see on my screen. Anybody else, thank you so much as well. We enjoy having you in here. And if if this is a couple days later and you're checking this out, thank you so much. We really appreciate everybody who downloads our shows or clicks on a podcast on our BTSC radio side. So thank you very much. But here's the deal. The Steelers got to the bye. As fans, we got to the bye week. And don't look now. The Cleveland Browns are hurting, and they're 3-3 as well. And they are the next opponent for the black and gold. They play next week, but they play 3 days from now. They play on Thursday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. So the thing about that, fellas, is they kind of get a mini bye week, but they're hurting really bad right now. You're not going to see Kareem Hunt for a while. You're not going to see the rookie JOK for a while. Who knows what's going on with Baker Mayfield? But the Steelers might be moving on up in the AFC North. So, Tony, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on the Steelers right now? And not only that, but what does the overtime victory tell you about this team?
Well, my thoughts, they're pretty much where I thought they'd be after 6 games, maybe I was hoping 4-2. They got to 3-3 a little bit differently than I thought. I didn't expect them to beat the Bills and lose to the Bengals and Raiders and stuff like that, but they're pretty much where I expected them to be. Still a work in progress, especially on offense. Defense, they just need to heal up, I think, and I think they'll be fine there eventually. But as far as with last night's win, Sunday night's win against the Seahawks, what that tells me, still a work in progress. Again, they're going to have their ups and downs even during the course of a game. I mean, you're up 14-0 going into the half. You're feeling pretty good with Geno Smith starting at quarterback for the Seahawks, but then they made some great adjustments, namely running the ball down the Steelers' throats in the second half, and the Steelers were pretty bad at tackling. So they're still a work in progress, and they're going to probably be this way over the course of the year. I'm not saying they're not going to contend, but they're definitely going to have some ups and downs over the last 11 games.
Mr. White, let me ask you this question as well. So the Steelers win. What kind of fashion are you going to call this a win? Is this a win where they escaped, or is this a win where they flat out won this game?
A little bit of both. The Seahawks were so banged up. It was such an emotional night. The crowd was really, been waiting all day. They were sauced up well, and it was a sellout. And with the Hall of Famers getting their rings at halftime, having all those legends around, the defense really come out fired up. It totally shut down Seattle like I expected in the first half. Went in at halftime, Pete Carroll made the necessary adjustment, which was basically to run the ball towards Buggs and Wormley, because he couldn't run the ball towards Hayward and Highsmith. They were shutting the run down. But he was able to run the ball on the other side, because they would double him and kick him out, and then they were winning their one-on-one blocks. If Buggs and Wormley can't hold up and keep the inside linebackers clean, Bush and Schobert, the Steelers are going to struggle on run defense. They don't have a true buck linebacker at the moment. Buddy Johnson's the closest thing they got. And, of course, he's inactive most weeks as a rookie. Wormley is really a 4-3 end playing out of position, whereas Buggs is put on a little bit of weight, but he's still a defensive end in a 3-4. So they seen the weakness, and they kept hitting it. They kept hitting it. And then when they tried to cheat up, then they was able to throw the ball a little bit. They fixed some things, like on the offensive line, but some new warts have been revealed. They really need Tuitt back. They need Carlos Davis back, and hope they can shore up that side of the defensive line. Because if not, teams like the Browns and Ravens is going to kill them.
Tony, are those guys coming back?
Well, I hope. I don't know about what's going on with Carlos Davis, but I hope Stephon Tuitt comes back eventually. It's such a mystery with him, and we know everything with his brother, and he's certainly going through heck as far as that's concerned. Some, I'm sure, emotional stuff. But they're pretty mysterious about what is it? What's wrong with his knee? You're hearing stuff that maybe he's starting to participate in practice, but they won't say what's up with the knee. And I don't know what's the secret is. If it's a major knee injury, just say it. I mean, it's not like it's none of our business, but he's a Steeler, and people are going to want to know what's up with his knee. But I think this is a testament to just how valuable Tyson Alualu is and was when he was in there. And we saw that last year when he was in there, the run defense was so much better. And then when he got hurt at times last year, the run defense struggled, and we're seeing that again this year. He's just such a valuable player, and it's amazing how much he's missed in the middle of that line.
Now I want to ask a very sensitive question here, and I'm going to ask this: are we assuming that he is struggling? He's continuing to struggle with the death of his brother, which mental health is a most important thing, and I'm not discounting that whatsoever. I worked for a while in the mental health landscape, so I do understand how very important that is, and I'm not bypassing that. I'm not downplaying that at all. But what I'm saying is this something that the media and fans are assuming? or has somebody come out and said this? Because I don't know if this is something that we're throwing on it and we're making that assumption that he's struggling with that, because I have never heard that out there being said. And I'm not implicating you, Tony, for bringing it up, because I have heard it a million times over from everybody.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. All you can do is assume and speculate, because they're not saying anything. They're not saying anything about why he's missing. And if they would just say if it's a problem with his knee, if they would just come out and say that, that'd be fine. So all you're left to do is speculate. I mean, obviously, he's probably never going to get over the loss of his brother. It was such a tragic, unexpected thing.
And that's understandable.
Oh, of course, absolutely. So, but when it comes to the reasons why, I think we just have to assume many different things because they're so secretive about it. I mean, Mike Tomlin came out and said in the summertime when they asked him during training camp, I don't have to tell you about any kind of injury situation at this point of the year. And now here we are in the regular season, and we still don't know. So all we can do really is speculate.
So, Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? Because once again, I am not if that's the reason that he's out, I fully support that. That's fine. But I have not heard that from any official source whatsoever. And that's why I'm bringing this up.
The closest thing, we haven't got any official announcement. The closest we got was Kevin Butler speaking in a press conference. And he was like, he wasn't sure when Tuitt would be able to come back. Hayward has said that he's dealing with a lot right now, but they really expected, at some point to get him back, and he's working hard to get back. If it was just an knee injury, they would be more forthcoming, I believe, of where he was at in his recovery. They don't want to talk about, because the mental aspect, as we understand, the emotional, there's not a Band-Aid, there's not a surgery, there's nothing that's going to fix that or heal that besides time. And so nobody's saying or trying to rush him, but if it looks like he isn't going to be able to come back, the Steelers really, while there still is a trade deadline and while there still is an opportunity, need to try to make a decision to shore up that side of the line.
Very interesting. This is very thought-provoking, because you don't know, and I'm trying to look at the live chat, and I do not do well multitasking. You can ask Mrs. Bad that. But one thing that I'm noticing here is that a lot of people are saying, "Well, shouldn't he be in practice?" He's been in practice, hasn't he?
I think
was the picture that we saw and on Twitter. I mean, there was an obvious knee brace on him. And I don't think that was a file photo as well. And this was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But to continue to continue to tell, let me just go ahead and put a bow on this entire thing and say, look, I understand completely. If I have lost a family member, and I'm sure a lot of us have, in different ways, and the way that happened, tragedy. I mean, there are a lot of things going on with a lot of people. We can't begin to know what's going on. If it's a mental health issue, then the man needs to take the time that he needs away from football. I'm just, the only reason that this is becoming a talking point on the show is I've never heard that from anybody. I just feel like there have been guesses on that. And that's it. And I don't think that's in some way, I don't think that's fair to assume either. That I mean, I'm sure when he wants to talk, he was like, no, it was not about that. It was about this. And it could be. But I understand what everybody is saying here too. Being shrouded in mystery stinks, especially for people like us with headsets on. We don't want, when we have headsets and microphones, we don't want mystery. We want to report on things. So I will agree on that. So the main question though is that win yesterday, which could have been a loss, had a lot of things going on. And I want to bring up something that Wes said at the very beginning of the show. And I love it that he said this. And it is, We faced a lot of adversity in this game, and our response to it was epic. But before that, he said, this win, the way it happened, speaking just for myself, is exactly what I needed to rejuvenate my faith. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about faith. Now that this team's 3-3, do you feel like you've got more hope in that this legitimately could be a playoff team? Or do you think the way that game panned out with a 14-0 lead and turning into a squeaker in overtime with some weird stuff going on, but the way things happened, the way that the Seahawks made halftime adjustments and the Steelers did not, and I'm not implicating the Steelers for that. This is just a question. These are things that actually happen. So with that being said, do you feel like the other shoe's going to drop and this is just a 2-game reprieve against two teams that are beat up a little bit? Or is this team legitimate to you now? Do you have your faith restored? Shannon, I'll start with you.
I'm an individual faith regardless, and won't get into that, but I never lost my faith. The way the season started and now through 6 games, Roethlisberger being showing what he is now at 39 years old. His limitations are very noticeable, especially if he has to move at all in the pocket. So it's very important. I've said all along that the offensive line is the key. And they're starting to show growth and improvement, starting to get some guys back. Banner gives them another option at right tackle. I was feeling better about the offense, even with Juju's injury. But then last night, some of their defensive issues, it's a copycat league. And everybody's going to see what Seattle did, and until the Steelers figure out how to stop that, they're going to see a repeat performance from everybody they play moving forward. Loudermilk, which shocked me, was by far the best run stopper once he come in the game. He limited the Seahawks' ability to continually run that one play because he held up better. He's very strong. He doesn't disengage well. He has no pass rush at this point in his career, but he is very strong and he can tie up multiple blockers. So he really helped with the limited getting gashed on that one particular play. They started using Sutton. Pierre got very few snaps yesterday. Pierre, they missed so many tackles. The secondary was just missing tackles left and right. All of them. Pierre is by far the most aggressive and the best tackler at the cornerback position. He hardly got any playing time. Norwood played excellent. But Pierre is a boundary corner. And Sutton missed quite a few tackles and struggled in that regard. I still like Pierre better on the outside. So while I feel a little bit better, as far as my faith in the offense, now my faith in the defense is a concern because we don't know about Tuitt and what's going to happen there.
Shannon, great points. And Ron Chess agrees with you. Shannon is right. Loudermilk, very strong. So I'm going to go right back to you real quick, and I'll ask for a budget answer on this one. But with Loudermilk, do you think it's time that with Carlos Davis out, and we know that he has the potential to come back, but do you think it's time to just start Loudermilk, kind of like you did with Dan Moore Jr., just saying, okay, this is the future. We're going to keep him in here for right now, or so we assume that's going to happen. That might change when Zach Banner comes back.
Loudermilk needs to be used more in the rotation, especially maybe on earlier downs. Wormley can give them a little more pass rush, so they might have to, do a rotation there, even use Bugs at defensive end some. But Loudermilk has earned more minutes.
All right. So at 3-3 with 11 games to go, which that's really that extra game. That's so confusing because it's the extra game to go. And you played your extra game last night. This was your extra game for 2019. A lot of people would consider, well, your extra game is going to be week 18 against the Baltimore Ravens. No, the team that you were never slated to play until they added the extra game was going to be the Seattle Seahawks, because they are now in this division. Excuse me, not their division. They're now in the equation because they finished first in their division, just like the Steelers finished first in their division. And that's why they're playing them. So that would, if next year the Steelers would have the opportunity, say they finish second, they would play whoever finishes second. It could be second in the North or second in the NFC South. You know, it won't be the West next year, most likely. So that's really interesting with this being the extra game. So I don't even remember what my question was, but at 3-3, yeah, I do remember my question. At 3-3, Shannon, is this a playoff team?
In the division and in the conference, the Steelers are right conference. They're in contention. There's a lot of 3-3 teams. It's going to depend on how they progress and grow as a team with all these young guys. Now Loudermilk looks like he's going to have to be relied on some. There's a lot of questions there. Just really can't answer that yet.
Okay, Tony, I've kept you on the back burner, and I apologize for that. Now I'm going to let you go ahead and put your thoughts in on everything that Shannon said. And at 3-3, is this a playoff team as well?
Well, as far as having faith, I think it was restored a bit, not because they won the last two games, but because of how they won. Last week, they gave up surrendered a big lead in the fourth quarter and held on at the end. When the Broncos were at the 2-yard line, they could have very easily tied the game there. And of course, last night it looked like it was going to be a disaster the way the end of regulation ended. And yet they found a way to make plays. And you saw a few years ago, 2018, down the stretch, and it was probably a better team in 2018. And they just kept losing games like that week after week after week. The Saints, the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and it was the fact that they were able to after starting 1-3, it had been easy for them to just kind of like look for a soft place to land these last 2 weeks and just kind of give up on the season. But as you know, Mike Tomlin teams don't do that. Steelers teams don't do that. So they have their problems on offense. Certainly, they made some progress the last couple of weeks, not so much on Sunday night. But that gives you a little bit of hope that maybe there's a improvement in there for that line and for the offense. And I love Najee Harris. And I think as the season goes on, he's going to be more and more the focal point of this offense. He's going to be their new Le'Veon Bell, the way they use him. The way they used him last night was textbook Le'Veon Bell with the balance between the rushing and the passing. As far as the defense, I'm worried about the line without Alualu and everything and no to it. And as Shannon said, the blueprint has been laid out as far as how to beat them, rushing the ball and who to run at. But you have TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith coming back stronger now, and we saw how well both of those guys played last night. And if they're both on point, especially Watt, we know what he can do. I think he's such a playmaker for them now, and he is the most key element to their team, the most key component to their team. So if he's playing at 110%, like the NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidate that he has been the last few years, I think this defense will be a lot better down the stretch. So I still have faith. As far as whether or not they're a playoff team, I mean, the schedule gets so much tougher, as you know, down the stretch. But there's an extra seed now, so that helps. And I think they're going to be in it till the very end. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they're definitely going to be in it up until the last week or two, like they always are. Even in 2019, they were in until the very last week.
All right, I'm going to end this segment before we go to break with some questions. Actually, not questions, with some comments here. Sean Manahan says, we got lucky. We don't have to play the Cardinals. Clarence Washington says, does Banner slide in a Moore spot if he can't play? That's the $1 million question. I don't think so. I think if anybody goes into Moore spot, it's going to be Chukwuekorfor. Zach Banner is a bona fide right tackle. It was said that last year during that battle, they needed somebody at left tackle, Chooks would have won. If they needed somebody at right tackle, so Banner would have won. That's how close they were. But the answer to my question, is this a playoff team? Rajon 39 says no. Bert, Aloha Bert, the pride of Hawaii, says no. Sean Manahan says we're in contention for the wild card. And then a moment, Felicia, we look good at 3-3 on paper. The emoji queen, by the way. No one does emojis like Felicia. I love that. But how the offensive plays, it's on toilet paper. So I love the emojis, and you're missing this if you're listening to this, but she always throws out the best emojis. And I got to tell you, I don't get Jeff Hartman mad easy. But I got him mad over our Slack channel, and the only time he lets me do pretty much whatever I want. He trusts my gut on the podcast side. I do report to him. I report to Dave on the podcast side as well. Those guys let me do what I want. But the minute I try to call Big Press Elvis, I made him mad. But where I really I didn't make him mad. They said no. They just shut that down because they thought I was stupid. But these guys, especially Jeff, when I started writing out emojis, when I'd say laughing hysterical emoji, thumbs up emoji, he got mad. He's like, stop doing that. Jeff loved his emojis. And he said, I'm pulling your comments if you do that again. So I did it a few times and he pulled my comments. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to stop. Devin Logan says they're a playoff caliber team. Whether or not they get there, it's a big question right now. I like that answer. X Eddie B gives us some Canuck bucks from Canada, unless California has their own money. $2. So thank you. Seattle has 4 losses. Cheers. And if you don't know that joke, because I was the guy that 2 years ago, in the middle of reading the live chat, I was asked a question and I came back with Seattle has 2 losses, and they made fun of me completely. So and that has never, in fact, I think that's going on a t-shirt as well. Portna, playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. You're always talking about playoffs. That's what the goal is. Really interesting. Adam Scissorhands saved the game. That's really funny. Adams. Oh gosh, that's really funny.
It wasn't his hands.
Anyways, so let's go to break. Yeah. That's true. I'm still gonna laugh at that one. So anyways, let's just go ahead and take a break. We've got so many comments. So when we come back, we're going to talk about comments. We're going to talk about questions, and we are going to take it to the top of the hour. We really appreciate everything that you do. So thanks for being here. We will be right back right after this on the Steelers Hangover, a victory edition. Welcome back to the Steelers Hangover. I am Bryan Anthony Davis. Shannon White is with me. Tony Defeo is with me. And we are glad for the second week in a row and the third time this season that the Pittsburgh Steelers are victorious. So it's a good hangover. We like that. We like the good hangovers, not the face down in a puddle of your own vomit, feeling like you've just lost your dog, your wife, your job. Pretty much a country and Western song from the 1970s. So with that being said, we're not feeling like that today. Next week, will there be a hangover? No, we're still going to be a high from this. Will there be a show? Absolutely. There will be a show. And there are plenty of opportunities for you to get involved in a show. So with the bye week coming up, what we're going to do, and this is Dave Schofield's brainchild. I'm going to give him credit for this. He likes alliteration like I do. I'm a big alliteration guy. He decided we would have the bye week bonanza. So the bye week bonanza, all of us are going to put a lot of people on the podcast side are going to put out their thoughts in a show. So there's going to be plenty of content next week of the season so far. But I want to know what you think. What about the people in the live chat? Do you want to hear what they have to say, Tony, Shannon?
Absolutely, yeah. They're really resourceful. They have a lot of great insight.
So if you can organize your thoughts in 60 seconds, and that's really strange coming from me, who has never had a thought in less than 60 seconds. But for the sake of this, if you could go ahead and send us who you think the team MVP is, what your thoughts on the season so far. It's all in the article there's an article on the editorial side. And if you could go ahead and take a look at that too, it is going to tell you everything you need to know. And guess who you get to send it to? Me. Send it to BTS. I'm sorry, that's not it. That's my Twitter handle. Send it to BADavis8889 at gmail.com. That's BADavis8889 at gmail.com. Tony, if you want to throw that up, you can do that. And so what we're asking from you is you definitely need to put your name in the 60-second sound clip. Simply, as Dave says here, the audio needs to be the best quality you can provide. In other words, avoiding background noise such as crowds or pets is beneficial. I know you hear my pet every once in a while. They're mouthy. But you just put it on an audio file. Submit it to us at BTSC. Now, we cannot promise that just because you submit it, that it's going to make the air. And the reason being is we have the right to reject any submission based on improper language if the clip is not audible. I mean, if it doesn't work out, and I realize you don't have the professional equipment that some of us here do, if it does not seem genuine in nature. So there's different things that we're looking at here. But the questions we're asking, once again, name and or your username used in the live to the YouTube live chat or on the comments section of the BTSC website. So for instance, if Daredevil, you can submit it with Daredevil if you want. Or you could put your regular name. So if Wes Hickok does it, he would just put Wes Hickok. Thoughts on the Steelers season so far? Where do you see the Steelers going from here? Go ahead, put that in 60 seconds. Send it to, once again, BADavis8889 at gmail.com. We're going to put together a show or shows to be aired next week. So the deadline for submissions, we'd like to have it by Wednesday at 8 a.m. So if that's something you can do, I tell my guys all the time as a podcast producer, I talked to Tony just before the show. I mean, I said, he's submitting something. Now, his isn't going to be 60 seconds. His is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes because we are doing this here as well. But with his submission, what he's going to go ahead and submit, he's like, yeah, I took it. I did a couple takes. Is that correct, Tony? You did a couple takes?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. You know what? I have the power of editing. I could help you out. So go ahead and send your stuff in.
I'm having trouble getting your email just right here. My computer is acting slow. So I'm trying to put it in multiple times.
Oh,
this last one's the right one. So please,
no problem.
Please don't disregard the first two, everybody out there. And the last one's the right one. Is that right, Brian?
I cannot see it yet, and I will look. B.A. Davis 8. Let me see the final one because it's 8889. Yes, there it is. The final one is B.A. Davis 8889 at gmail.com. And I'll give you a reason to understand that. 8889, I graduated from high school. I was a senior in high school in 88/89. That's why it's that way there. So it's not for Lynn Swan, Benny Cunningham. It's not for Emmanuel Sanders and Vance McDonald. It's not for Courtney Hawkins and Ernie Mills. can't think of any funny 88, if any more funnier 88s right now than that. 89 was Jericho Cotry. I need another 88. Well, it's not for Pat Fryermuth and Jericho Cotry. There you go. So, all right. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to go through it. If I don't read your question or comment, I do apologize. But let's go ahead and look at this. Wrong one. So I'm not sure what that was. And I can look back and see what John was answering. I'm not sure. Boy, my computer is slow today too. Steeler Chick 46. Even with Ben, we are, I think, the second youngest team in the NFL. That sounds about right. Shannon, is that true?
I think so. If you take Ben, Hayward, and Hayden off, definitely they're the second youngest team.
That's a Dave Schofield question right there, I think. I would honestly say that's something that that's what's great about Dave. He can take something like that, turn that into an entire show, and it would be compelling from beginning to end. Scott Wells said this at the beginning of the show. I want to bring this up. And it's simple. 3 words. Talk Chris Boswell. How awesome is Chris Boswell? That's all I'm going to say about that. And that might sound like a question, but that's an exclamation. I don't have a question mark on that. I have just exclamation points now at this point. Guys, is he the most automatic kicker that you could remember in Steeler history?
Absolutely. He's the greatest kicker they've ever had. He just doesn't get the pub because so many kickers are exceptional today, whereas back in Gary Anderson's day, there were only a few that you could think of that were up around 75, 80%. Well, now so many kickers are up around 90%, but thankfully he's one of them. And this year, he's in a zone and you just have all the faith in the world that he's going to make every kick.
Shannon, Chris Boswell, man, I'm loving what he's doing.
Oh, he's clutch. And if you take out the 2018 season, he would be right there in the discussion with Tucker. He's the second most accurate kicker after Tucker currently in the league. He's just so consistent. And he's added range. When he first came up, 50 yards was about his max. We've seen him hit a 59-yarder, a 56-yarder, the longest kick in Hansfield history. So he's got it all now. Even the kickoffs go through the end zone usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we wanted him gone in 2018. We were just, and it was a bad year. And I say we, it's just the fans in Steeler Nation.
Yeah,
they were down on the guy, and he had something going on, and he didn't want to talk about it because he said, "No, I'm fine. It's I'm just not kicking right now." He didn't make any excuses. It just was not working. And he came out the next year and it is working. I just want to bring up this one from Ron Chess. Bad Tony, Shannon, thank God for TJ, Cam, Hayward, Najee, Fryermuth, Norwood, Claypool is garbage. I'm going to agree with all of those things, except for I don't think Claypool is garbage. But two receptions for 17 yards is not good. Tony, what's your thoughts on Chase?
I think he's going to be a superstar. He's just right now he's an inconsistent young player, which you see a lot from young receivers. I don't think he's garbage. I mean, that's I mean you can name a lot of receivers from the recent past that you could put in that category, but not Claypool. The talent is quite evident. He just needs to find consistency. I mean, don't forget Antonio Brown had some up and down years early on before he really became the greatest. He had the greatest run ever in NFL history. So it's just a matter of time for him. I think the more they can make him a focal point of the passing game, the better that offense is going to be.
So let's go ahead and look at this. I got to bring up this one. This one just makes me smile because it's a lot of black and gold hearts here. Patricia Castaneda. Happy. Hey, Steelers fam. Happy Victory Monday. Love it. That just makes me feel good. I've got to bring this one up. Yes2 says, greetings from Hong Kong. I love it. Tony, can't you wait to go back to your class reunion and go, hey, guess what? Boys, girls, I'm international.
I can't wait. Although I just passed my 30th year graduation, so I have to wait till 35.
Well, there's a early hip hop song, and gosh, why am I from the 80s or maybe early 90s? I'm internationally known. I mean, I can't. What is that from? Oh gosh, I can't remember now. Now that's killing me. Shannon, do you know your hip hop?
No.
No. He's like, no. Oh, and Patricia, back to Patricia, she's Steelers Nation Mexico. So you were definitely internationally known today here. I love it. Wes said this earlier and I missed this, so I want to bring it up. Good thoughts from Wes. Our OT win tells me don't screw with our defense. Yeah. Bend, don't break, and when it's time to shine, TJ Watt. All I can say is 28 million is worth it.
Well, look at his last two plays. Look. Oh, absolutely. Last night he was worth. He earned just about every penny. I mean, but look at how the last two plays the Seahawks had in overtime. They're 3rd and 4 from midfield. They're about to go in a field goal range. Boom! He sacks Geno. The very first play after the Steelers punted, he sacks Geno again, strips the ball, and it's game over. So, I mean, my gosh, don't mess with the defense, and especially don't mess with TJ Watt.
Shannon White, I mean, how much are you loving this guy right now?
That was what we've all been waiting on. I've been very critical of TJ, that he puts up a lot of stats, but when it comes to winning time and making those big plays that directly impact the final outcome, like James Harrison, Troy Polamalu, all the Defensive Player of the Year candidate winners for the Steelers in the past would make, TJ hasn't had that signature moment. Last night was his breakout, his signature moment.
Right.
He was absolutely dominating in overtime. Even when they tried to triple team him, he still showed all-out hustle and ability to come back and make that strip sack, which basically won the game. So that was a huge moment, kind of a monkey off his back, and I think that we can expect even greater things moving forward, because the one thing he was missing from his Defensive Player of the Year resume was those type of plays, and he did it on prime time with the whole nation watching. So it was a great performance.
How did they review that last catch or fumble? That to me was terrible. These refs stink. Mark Davison, one of our very own, and he also said at the beginning of the show that he's still hung over. Guys, let's run through that one really quick, because I'm wondering about that. That's just Mike Tomlin called it embarrassing.
Right. I mean, it was obvious that it was a catch, and he took several steps before he got tackled. And I mean, I don't know what they were looking at, why they decided to review that play. It just didn't make any sense, but it confused everybody. And you know, I guess the Seahawks got a break because they got to spike it twice. But I mean, really, if you're going to review that play, then you stop the play immediately, and there's 8 seconds left. So I don't think it was an unfair thing for the Steelers. It was just really, really weird.
Shannon, I want you to address this next one. And there's a lot of people that are saying this. This isn't the first I've seen this. But Mike Eckenrod means it when he says Devin Bush is a bust because he has 2 exclamation points in all caps. A lot of people are saying that. What's your thoughts with Devin Bush? What's up with him right now?
I think it's far too early to say it's a bust, because his rookie year, his speed was such an asset that the Steelers had been missing since Shazir's injury. Then he was really coming on last year prior to, his knee injury that caused him to miss the rest of the season. Anybody that's had an ACL injury knows it takes a full year to get back even 80 to 90%. The last 10% is full confidence and your complete burst back. He doesn't have it. then he suffered a groin injury. People are forgetting that he missed time with a groin injury already. Groin injuries further limit your explosive elements to your game. So he's been playing, but he's a shadow of his fully healthy self at the moment due to the mental block from the knee plus the groin injury. So hopefully the bye week and further time to heal, we'll start seeing him start looking like he did at the early portion of last year in the second part of this season.
You know what? The next guy I'm going to bring up, I was going to bring up his question now but it just something sparked in me. Have you guys watched? Not watched. Have you listened to what Ian's talking about yet? And if you haven't, still said yes because it's an awesome show. And so Kyle Kreis is here and he has a question, but by listening to you talk right there, Shannon, I was thinking that would have been perfect. That entire segment would have been perfect for Kyle and Greg because I think they would have had the groin injury tracker on you because they could have, you said groin injury 4 times in that little bit of time. So I could have just heard bing, heard, bing, bing. Kyle, you might want to take the audio from this and do the groin injury tracker. And anytime we talk, Dave Schofield and I we call it a Sam Malone now because if you know from Cheers, the famous episode when he was on the sports broadcast and he's rapping groin injury, groin injury. So you have to say it like that from now on. So there you go. Kyle wants to know, is Loudermilk earning more time? I talked about it earlier. We kind of talked about this earlier. Just yes or no. Do you think this guy is worth the 4th round pick next year that's going to Miami?
Is it me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked about earlier, Loudermilk is definitely earning more time, more snaps. I did not understand that draft capital. Still was, have to wonder, who else was after him and wanting his services. A lot of times rumors get started during draft night, but regardless, if he pans out, and he will be worth it. And right now you see what they see: outstanding length, and strength and potential. And to have Hayward as his teacher, his mentor, he looks like he could really turn into a very good starter eventually. So, yeah, I would say he's worth it.
I want to go back to the Stephen Tuitt conversation because I missed this earlier and I'm finding it now. Brad Jewett says they're not allowed to say what's happening. It makes no sense to me. My friend who plays for the Vikings wasn't allowed to tell me what his injury was when they put him on IR. That's really interesting. So I guess some things are absolutely hush hush with that. And I know, Brad, you have a friend that plays for the Vikings. I had a friend who used to play for the Vikings, and his name is Tony Defeo. Was that the Crafton Vikings or the Pittsburgh Vikings? Who did he play for?
The Sheridan Vikings, right down the road.
The Sheridan Vikings.
Yeah, and believe me, I had a lot of injuries, and they were always disclosed. So I guess things have changed since 1984.
Oh, the world wanted to know in 1984 what was going on with Tony Defeo. Well, I was playing for the American Outfitter Eagles.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, we could have played
for the Eagles.
Some kind of traveling league.
Yeah, that would have been great. I was like 80-pound nose tackle and a messenger end. I would bring in the plays and I'd be the receiver. I think I had one ball thrown to me the entire time. But I did man, we were red, white, and blue too. We're American Outfitter, the Eagles. I think we were ended up 1-5 and 2-4 both years. So I combined 3 wins. We weren't that good, but I still love those days. I would go back to those days and then go home on a Thursday night after we had practice all week, but go home on a Thursday night, watch Cosby Show, Family Ties, Cheers, and Night Court. So I can see you doing that too. Did you play Pee Wee football? Yeah, I was asking Shannon, but let me go back to the Vikings real quick. Were you guys purple?
No, I don't know. We were like green or something. It was like a greenish color. I remember.
That's the Green Vikings.
Yeah.
Shannon White, did you ever play Pee Wee football?
No.
You're a baseball guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's really interesting stuff. So I don't know how I got off on that, but that's really interesting stuff from Mr. Jewett. So we do appreciate that. Lots of great stuff, guys. As I look through here, XNB, once again, we went away from the run, went away from Ben under center, went away from the play action. Why is that happening, Tony?
I don't. That's a good question because after the Denver game, it should have been the blueprint they used for Sunday night, unless it was a matchup thing that they were trying to exploit. But it didn't make any sense to me. It seemed like they went back to their old ways after 1 week of success. I don't get it.
So, Shannon, are you concerned about the play calling, or is this just something that's always going to be?
The play calling, they actually tried. They're trying to work in the RPOs. Ben actually did a play action pass, which I think started with all of us, the fans. I think it started with the Seahawks. Their safeties immediately just started flying back deep because they thought for sure that's what was coming. And then Ben was able to drop it right over the middle to Harris for a good gain. It needs to be worked in some more consistently. But they're starting to be able to work in a little bit more of the game plan because they can build off of the success they're having with Harris in the running game. Everything's going to be predicated off of that. And of course, that's dependent on the offensive line. So I think that Canada is trying to find a comfort zone between him and Ben and to where they can have some consistency and confidence.
Very good. Now, I can't bring this up on the screen for... Oh, here it is. I finally found it, man. I was searching all over for it. Tyler W., he was a quarterback for the Rams in 7th grade. I love it. What color were the Rams? That's the question I want to ask. Brian Brown in 1984, he was 13. I turned 13 in December of 84. So 84 is my absolute favorite year. But Alexander Parrott, 449. Is that euros, guys? My brain hurts. But keep up the great work, fellas. 3-3 now. Let's go Steelers. Next game, it's Brown, so it's going to be flushed down. I love it. That is hilarious. I taught my kids at a very early age to say that. If it's Brown, flush it down. Brian Brown, I played for the Southeast Steelers in Little League. So that's really cool. In Little League Baseball, I played for the Red Sox and the Dodgers. So, and I won championships with the Red Sox in 1982 and the Dodgers in 1984. I wasn't that good, but I was there. And I probably talked. But the thing is, I was the kid that talked the most. So if anybody had a hype guy, if the Little League teams in Arbutus Little League had hype guys, it was me. So I took credit for all the glory. You got to be that guy sometimes. So with that being said, guys, it was a great victory. I don't care if they had to have overtime. A win's a win. And you know what I say about ugly wins? Somebody mentioned ugly. You know what happens at 2 a.m.? It's not pretty all the time, but that was a 2 a.m. win. So I'm very happy. Tyler W is also me too bad player on a good team. Hey, we got to have that. Somebody's got to be Daniel McCullers, right? And that just happened to be me back in the day. But I was a little dude. I was actually little. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna have to try to find a picture one of these days. I found a picture of my 1989 graduation with my mullet, and I showed some people at work because we were having a conference meeting, and we were showing pictures from then. And it was one of those things that, like, my gosh, how long was that hair? I'm like, well, that was 1989. Like, one girl was like, I wasn't even born in 89. I'm like, all right, check please. But yeah, you would love 1984 bad. 80 pounds with flowing dark curly hair with mullet down to here, reciting Weird Al lyrics and Huey Lewis lyrics and talking a lot of smack. So that's what I did. One thing that Michael O'Malley mentions this, so was Ebron's Tuttle. Was that amazing? How about Eric Ebron? That's one thing about Canada's offense. You would never seen Eric Ebron run before like that. That was actually pretty. I thought it was, not just pretty. Let's call it majestic, guys.
Yeah, he looked like an incredible athlete on that play.
Tyler W says, "Love the mullet." That's great. Arthur Maulet's another guy. I have a crush. I have a Steelers crush on Arthur Maulet. He might be my next Mike Hilton.
He seems he brings so much intensity and energy when he plays. That's what I like about him.
Did it help Shannon that he was cut and came back, and now he's just like, he's not getting cut again in his mind?
If you remember, I predicted that he would see the majority of the minutes in the slot as the season progressed, because he does. He's very similar in ability to Mike Hilton, and they're using him a lot in the similar ways, not blitzing him as much. They've resisted doing that this year. The Steelers,
I don't remember that. Do you remember that, Tony?
Yeah.
I wrote it down. I have it right here in my notebook. Yeah.
No, that never happened.
The Steelers are playing tentatively on offense and defense, and it's like they don't want to make the big mistake because of on offense. So they've actually kind of neutered the offense. They're not being as aggressive. At one point in the game yesterday, it was 2nd and 1 around midfield. In the past, you knew what was coming. They're going to try, on a 2nd and 1, they're going to try to hit something deep down the field. And they run it and just got the first down. It's out of character for what they've been in the past. And then on defense, where they used to love to blitz Hilton or bring an extra guy, they're scared of giving up the big play, so they're playing more reserved at this point so far in the season. That could change in the second half of the season. We'll have to see. But I think that they need confidence before they can be more aggressive.
So I want to say, too, I mean, not to be outdone, because I know Shannon did make a pretty good prediction with Arthur Maulet, and I'm going to say that I made a pretty good prediction, too, and that was about Najee Harris, that I thought he was going to be half decent. So I'll just go ahead and say that as well. So with that being said, gentlemen, let's go check out some Monday Night Football. As Patricia Castaneda says, Bills 3, Titans 0 right now. That's an interesting game. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out. And somebody also mentioned Collinsworth earlier. I'm going to keep on saying I love that guy. I know not a lot of people love him, but he's still my dude. So, but Reggie Rivers, was it Reggie? I think Reggie wrote it earlier, and I lost it, that he had never scored a touchdown against the Steelers. And I did not know that. Have you ever heard that?
Tonight's the first time I've heard.
Tony, were you aware of that?
No.
Man, I wish I could find that. I thought that was really interesting. As I was looking through it, guys, I feel like I'm all over the place tonight. And the reason I'm all over the place is I am just elated. You feel better when the Steelers win, and I'm feeling good. And guess what? You get to keep this victory for an extra week. So I do have to bring up this one last quote before we get out of here. This is just a comment. Shannon thinks Renegade is hip hop music.
Yeah, I'm an 80s.
I
80s
love
baby.
it.
Give me some hair metal. I'll be happy.
I am too. A little white lion, a little
Yeah, there
winger.
we go. There we go. Any of that.
You know, I could see Tony into that too. I was into Twisted Sister. I was definitely a Van Halen guy, so I get it. So let's go ahead and let's get out of here. Thank you so much. Look, guys, girls, even if we have canines and cats, even though I'm sort of afraid of cats, but that's okay if you want to watch and listen, if you want to have your cat on the show, that's fine. My dog usually is right next to me. I don't know where she is tonight. I've got a few dogs, but Luna likes to hang out with me here during the shows. But we can't do these shows without you. We are having another record month. For the third month in a row, we're going to break a BTSC all-time record. We broke one in August. In September, we broke that record that we beat in August by 160,000 downloads. Woo. And now we're about to beat that record again. And if that happens, the first person that you thank is all of you. Because we can't do these shows. We can't get inspired for these shows without you. We are just three football nerds that love to talk about it. And somehow, somewhere, we got blessed with the opportunity to have microphones put in front of us and asked to talk about it. Basically, we're writers that just weaseled our way onto this platform. And we appreciate the fact that you guys let us in to your lives. So we appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. That's a big deal to us. And like I said, you're all a part of it. So once again, we want to give you a chance. You want to do a 60-second clip? We will do our best to get it on for you. Once again, badavis8889@gmail.com. We're going to play it at the end of the week. Play it a couple times and we'll have it on Podcast Network. And guess what? You can tell all your friends and family, check this out. I'm on BTSC Radio. That's awesome. And I think it would be great. So thank you, man. We are getting a lot of awesome comments and I love it. So thank you so much. When are the Chatters podcast due? I'd like to have that. Just me. Good question. I would like to have that Monday morning by 8 a.m. So I have a chance to process all them, go through. I'm going to do about maybe about 5 a show. And when I say 8 a.m. Eastern, if it shows up at 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm not going to turn it away. I mean, I get that. So, I mean, I understand everything. So definitely, please get those in. I want to hear your voices. Man, I see Kathy Fored on here. I see McEldew all the time. Devin Logan. I see these names. Felicia in front of me. Patricia. I want to hear your voices. I think that'd be awesome. I wish we had the ability. David Poe. I'd love to hear from Clarence. Josh. Stacy Lynn. Felicia. Brian Brown. Bert. I want to hear from Tyler W. Josh Parker. X80 B. And I know I'll get an A from X80 B because he's from Canada. And if I hear his voice, he might be my most favorite Canadian over both Chase Claypool and Michael Beck. So with that being said, now, hey, it's so much fun. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting us be a part of your lives. And thank you for being a part of ours. It goes beyond just football. It's nice to know that there are people out there that bleed black and gold. And, but black and gold's fun, but the hearts that beat behind your replica jerseys are more important to me. So thank you to Josh Parker's from Canada too. So Josh Parker will be a favorite Canadian of mine as well. So more favorite than Matt, Canada, I guess. I don't mind him. Yeah. All right. With that being said, I'm done blabbing. Check out BTSC for all your Pittsburgh Steelers needs. We love you. For Shannon, for Tony, my name is Bryan Anthony Davis, and you can call me Bad. And with that, what we want to do is we want to have you do 3 things. And it's simple. 1, be safe out there. 2, be true to yourself. And number 3, always be behind the steel curtain. And just when you think you've got all the answers,
we keep changing the questions.
Woo!
Good night, PTSC Nation. We love you.